There is no avoiding pain, especially if you're going after ambitious goals. Believe it or not, you are lucky to feel that kind of pain if you approach it correctly, because it's a signal that you need to find solutions so you can progress. If you can develop a reflexive reaction to psychic pain that causes you to reflect on it rather than avoid it, it will lead to your rapid learning/evolving. After seeing how much more effective it is to face the painful realities that are caused by your problems, mistakes, and weaknesses, I believe you won't want to operate any other way. It's just a matter of getting in the habit of doing it. Good morning, everybody, and I'm excited to do some reading with you today. I'm excited because my phone actually is sitting at an angle so you can see me better on Bigo, which is always a lot of fun. And yes, usually it just falls flat onto the computer, but today it actually worked, which is really amazing. So let's get into it. We are going to be reading Principles by Ray Dalio because it's a great way to start the day. Gives you something to think about, give you some motivation for the day. So here we go. Let's do it. So today and yesterday, we're actually talking about pain and how necessary it is. And today, we're going to continue that a little bit. 1.7, pain plus reflection equals progress. I'll get back to everybody in just a moment, but let's get into the reading and get the day started. There is no avoiding pain, especially if you're going after ambitious goals. Believe it or not, you are lucky to feel that kind of pain if you approach it correctly, because it's a signal that you need to find solutions so you can progress. If you can develop a reflexive reaction to psychic pain that causes you to reflect on it rather than avoid it, it will lead to your rapid learning/evolving. After seeing how much more effective it is to face the painful realities that are caused by your problems, mistakes, and weaknesses, I believe you won't want to operate any other way. It's just a matter of getting in the habit of doing it. Most people have a tough time reflecting when they're in pain, and they pay attention to other things when the pain passes, so they miss out on the reflections that provide the lessons. If you can reflect well while you're in pain, which is probably too much to ask, great. But if you can remember to reflect after it passes, that's valuable too. I created a pain button app to help people do this, which I describe in the appendix. Pain button app, that sounds really interesting. Might have to see if I can go to the appendix later and find out what it is. The challenge you face will test and strengthen you. If you're not failing, you're not pushing your limits. And if you're not pushing your limits, you're not maximizing your potential. Now, this is something that I would definitely absolutely agree with. So you need to, for example, I was talking to somebody yesterday. I said, you could understand something. You could know how something works. You could theoretically understand something. But until you actually take action and do it, you won't really know whether you are capable of doing it or not. So it's okay to go out and do something and make a mistake, because then at least you've taken the action. You've learned something from it, as opposed to theoretically knowing it. But if you did go out and do it, you'd have absolutely no clue. So both people, the theoretical understander and the person who actually goes out and takes action, they both are probably at around the same kind of place. But it's the person who takes the action who's actually going to learn what does and doesn't work. Whereas the theoretical person is never going to get to that point. They're never going to actually get any results out of it. So very important to take action. Though this process of pushing your limits, of sometimes failing and sometimes breaking through, and deriving benefits from both your failures and your successes is not for everyone. If it is for you, it can be so thrilling that it becomes addictive. Life will inevitably bring you such moments, and it'll be up to you to decide whether you want to go back for more. If you choose to push through this often painful process of personal evolution, you will naturally ascend to higher and higher levels. As you climb above the blizzard of things that surrounds you, you will realize that they seem bigger than they really are when you are seeing them up close. That most things in life are just another one of those The higher you ascend, the more effective you become at working with reality to shape outcomes towards your goals. What once seemed impossible and complex becomes simple. Part A, go to the pain rather than avoid it. If you don't let up on yourself and instead become comfortable always operating with some level of pain, you will evolve at a faster pace. That's just the way it is. Every time you confront something painful, you are at a potentially important juncture in your life. You have the opportunity to choose healthy and painful truth or unhealthy but comfortable delusion. The irony is that if you choose the healthy route, the pain will soon turn into pleasure. The pain is a signal, like switching from exercising to exercising. Developing the habit of embracing the pain and learning from it will get you to the other side. By getting to the other side, I mean that you will become hooked on identifying, accepting, and learning how to deal with your weaknesses. Preferring that the people around you be honest with you rather than keep their negative thoughts about you to themselves. And being yourself rather than having to pretend to be strong where you are weak. All of those are so important. So I had to learn this as I was growing up. So when I was when I was very young, which I still feel, but I might not officially on paper be anymore, but I still feel extremely young. I had to learn to deal with my weaknesses. And I thought that it was an issue. I thought that there was a way to be without weaknesses. And obviously that's not the case. And the other thing was that I really hated it when people around me would tell me the honest truth. It was painful. I really, really disliked it. And I got to the point where I said, well, I actually used to reflect. So also what was just mentioned, I used to reflect, and I'd say, okay, what's going to be better for me if people are honest and they just tell me the truth, or if they lie to me? And I noticed that when people lied to me, I would find out, and that would be more painful. So I preferred if people just told me the truth. And I also knew that it was going to be extremely good for me to be able to get that information. Part B, embrace tough love. But first, I want to quickly say thank you to everybody that's sending hearts and different other things. Young God, I see you there again today, which is wonderful. Professor Miss Maid Monstua, nice to see you too, and thank you for the hearts. And Young God, always sending lots of hearts, always so good of you. So nice to have you as always, and everybody else too. Okay, let's continue. Embrace tough love. Bladen has also joined on the Zoom, so let me just quickly pin myself for the video. There we go. In my own life, what I want to give to people, most importantly to people I love, is the power to deal with the reality to get what they want. In pursuit of my goal to give them strength, I will often deny them what they want, because that will give them the opportunity to struggle so that they can develop the strength to get what they want on their own. This can be difficult for people emotionally, even if they understand intellectually that having difficulties is the exercise they need to grow strong, and that just giving them what they want will weaken them and ultimately lead to them needing more help. Of course, most people would prefer not to have weaknesses. Our upbringings and our experiences in the world have conditioned us to be embarrassed by our weaknesses and hide them. But people are happiest when they can be themselves. If you can be open with your weaknesses, it will make you freer and will help you deal with them better. Very often I feel like weaknesses and different other things that society tells us we need to avoid and be careful of, they're like chips on the shoulder. They're very heavy to carry. And the minute you just take them off, life is just so much smoother. It's like going to the airport, and some people will go to the airport and they're going to take all of these really, really heavy bags, and they've got 2 trolleys and they're full of bags and it's heavy, heavy, heavy. And then you have the business traveler, and they go with one small little attaché case. And they might also be staying overnight. So in their attaché case, they've got 2 compartments. In one compartment, they've got some underwear and they've got a change of clothes or something, or they organize something for when they're there, or they've already sent some clothes over, or whatever it is that they've done. But they found a way to travel much more lightly. And there's a very big difference between people who travel lightly through life because they are okay with being themselves. They don't mind their weaknesses. They're happy to share things with other people. And they just, they don't worry about societal norms. Excuse me. But they don't worry about societal norms. Whereas a lot of other people, will really be concerned about what are other people going to think of me. Is it going to be okay like this? Will I be able to survive at work? Are people thinking this? Am I going to get fired? Is it? And a friend of mine recently also told me, which really fits in really well, is that there's two kinds of people. The one that's constantly worried about everything, and they worry about it throughout the whole process. And that person dies 1,000 deaths. Whereas the person who can be okay with everything, they think about the thing and they process what it is. They die one death, but they only die one death, and then they accept it and they move on. Whereas the person who's constantly thinking about this thing, that's a challenge to them, and they never let go of it. They just keep holding on to it. They die the 1,000 deaths. So see if you can avoid the 1,000 deaths and just die one death. Just think about accepting, understanding that the pain is there, and then moving on. I urge you not to be embarrassed about your problems, recognizing that everybody has them. Bringing them to the surface will help you break your bad habits and develop good ones, and you will acquire real strength and justifiable optimism. This evolutionary process of productive adaptation and ascent, the process of seeking, obtaining, and pursuing more and more ambitious goals, does not just pertain to how individuals and society move forward. It is equally relevant when dealing with setbacks, which are inevitable. For example, reading live is going to be very different to reading the audiobook or listening to the audiobook. So if you choose to listen to the audiobook, then one, you're not going to get as much commentary, but two, it will be edited and it will be absolutely perfect. Now, I could benchmark myself against that and say, well, this reading is live, so I might make some mistakes at some point. It's not going to be perfect. And I could hold that back. I could let that hold me back from actually doing this. But I'm okay with that. I don't really mind. I don't really care what you think. What I want to do is I want to share my thoughts. I want to be able to share some really good things that people have written in order for you to be able to get something out of it. So regardless of whether I accidentally make some mistakes here or there, it doesn't really bother me. And if you can live your life like that, then you can achieve things that other people think are impossible. Some people look at me reading here. Had some peanuts. They're a little bit dry in the throat. And they look at me and they say, well, I couldn't do that. And of course, they're not going to be able to do that because they have all these worries about what will people think? Will this happen? Will that happen? Will I make mistakes? So they die these 1,000 deaths because they think of all of these different things. Whereas somebody like me says, okay, I accept I might make some mistakes. I've died my one death, and then I don't really care anymore. I just go and do it. This morning, I went and took a cold shower. I didn't really feel like going in this morning, so I counted down from 5 to 0, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I just stepped in. All of a sudden, the cold water is all over me already. My body temperature is adjusted, and now I don't care anymore. So I've died my one death by quickly pushing myself in, whereas other people, they'll stand outside the shower. The cold water is running if they're thinking about taking a cold shower because they saw somebody say that it's good for them. And then they'll think about, oh, maybe my heart will stop. Maybe I'll have a heart attack. Maybe this will happen. Oh, I'm going to be cold. Oh, and then when I come out, I'm going to be shivering. And so they never take the action. They don't actually feel the pain, but they never actually get the benefits of it either because they never do anything. And so it's really important for you to be able to just push past it, die your one death, accept it, and move on. At some point in your life, you will crash in a big way. You might fail at your job or with your family, lose a loved one, suffer a serious accident or illness, or discover the life you imagined is out of reach forever. There are a whole host of ways that something will get you. At such times, you will be in pain and might think that you don't have the strength to go on. You almost always do. However, your ultimate success will depend on your realizing that fact, even though it might not seem that way at the moment. This is why many people who have endured setbacks that seemed devastated at the time ended up as happy as, or even happier than they originally were after they successfully adapted to them. The quality of your life will depend on the choices you make at those painful moments. The faster one appropriately adapts, the better. No matter what you want out of life, your ability to adapt and move quickly and efficiently through the process of personal evolution will determine your success and your happiness. If you do it well, you can change your psychological reaction to it. so that what was painful can become something you crave. You actually see this a lot with people who want to break up with somebody. They've been together with somebody for a long time. Let's say it's a divorce in this case, and they want to divorce somebody, and they never take the action. And they're miserable. They're miserable, they're miserable, they're miserable, but the devil I know is better than the devil I don't know, so I'm going to stay with this person that I can't really stand being with. So they stay. And they think, well, if I take this action, if I get divorced, then maybe something bad will be on the other side. But something good or bad could be on the other side. So you never know what's on the other side. But right now, they're actually not in a really good place. So sometimes it's better to just take the action, move on, and then on the other side, generally, I find that there is more good on the other side than there's bad. There is a reason why you're being pushed out of that area. You're being pushed out of where you feel comfortable, even though you know that it's not good, but you feel comfortable. So if you can push past that, there is a lot of really, really good things on the other side. Okay, we're going to leave it there. Tomorrow we're going to have a 1.8 weight, second and third order consequences. And that's weigh as in weigh your body. Tomorrow we actually have a couple of principles because some of them are quite short for tomorrow. They've all been quite, long. These ones are going to be a little bit shorter. So I'm looking forward to reading those for you tomorrow. If you enjoyed today's reading, if you really like this and want to be able to watch the rest of the videos, or if you want to be able to watch me read A Rich Dad, Poor Dad and the other books that I've read up until this point, you can do that on YouTube. You can find me at the Passive Cash Flow Club, and I would love to be able to see you there. Make sure that you subscribe because we are answering your questions, and I'll tell you in just a second how you can ask a question. So make sure that you subscribe because then you'll know when those questions are uploaded, and I will have the answers for your questions, which is really exciting. Anything to do with wealth creation, passive income, investment, all of those different things, economics, any questions you have, any questions on the book, feel free to ask. Now, the way in which you can ask me those questions, you can go to Instagram and you can get in touch with me. business_team_6_official is where you'll find me. I'm looking forward to getting to know you there. I love seeing you all join and sending the little hearts and everything else that you do. So I really appreciate that. For those of you who are bigger, the recording's on Zoom. So Zoom people are like, what hearts? What are you talking about? So feel free to reach out on Instagram. I would love to get to know you. Also, if you are interested in learning more about finance, we have cash flow and investment online games that you can play where you can also get to meet me. And I would love to get to know you and see you there. Should have had peanuts before we started. And you can also reach out on Instagram and tell me that you are interested in playing the game. And we will be able to get you that information on how you can come and join us. So I am looking forward to getting to know more of you. Either reach out and leave a comment and subscribe on the YouTube channel, the Passive Cash Flow Club, or reach out on Instagram personally. And I would love to get to know you more on Instagram, business_team_6_official. I am looking forward to a great day. I hope you are too. The reading has inspired me to go and seek out some pain and face it head on, just like I did with the cold shower this morning and with my weaknesses and everything else that I don't really care about. And the fact that I actually do a live reading, which has mistakes and coughs and all sorts of different things throughout it. So have an absolutely amazing day today. I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. It's so good to see so many of you returning on Bigo. I really, really love seeing you all. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you and maybe meeting you either online or somewhere else for a game of cash flow or on Instagram so that I can get to know you a little bit better. Have an absolutely amazing day today. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining. And remember, to make the switch to unlock your rich, because making a switch, changing from who you are right now and what you are doing right now will help you to become wealthy. If you keep doing everything the way you do it right now, you're going to get the same results. So make the switch to unlock your rich. I'll see you all tomorrow, and I'm going to quickly go to Bigo to say hello and reply to everybody there. So I'll see you all tomorrow, and I'm going to quickly jump over to Bigo.